Hey, y'all, we got Jace Bauserman on the podcast this week. He is a killer from Colorado, a big elk guy, hunts antelope, lots of Western game, but is also an author who writes a lot for North American Elk, Bowhunter Magazine, just to name a couple, but he writes for Field and Stream, a lot of other ones. So if you are going out on an elk hunt this fall from the East Coast, or you're a guy who's wanting to learn more about elk hunting, this is a great podcast. The thing that made me want to get him on was an article he wrote in North American Elk called Go Deep or Stay Close. And it really challenges the idea that you need to go in there 8 to 10 miles on a backcountry hunt to harvest elk out west. We just go super deep on a lot of this stuff, but honestly, this is like a mini class in what to do if you are scouting and preparing to go on an elk hunt this fall. And it gives you some really, really good tips on what you should be looking for on your e-scouting, some things that other people are not doing that are pretty simple for you to locate on your e-scouting and then pick up and put a plan in place. So I hope you take the opportunity to listen. The first 20 minutes or so, Jace is also an ultra runner. He does ultra marathons, things like that. So the first 20 minutes or so, we're talking a lot about his Pikes Peak Ultra and some of the stuff that he just did recently. So if you want to go straight to the elk hunting, just go to 20 minutes in after the intro and you're going to be right on top of it. And we did probably 30 to 35 minutes on elk. And then the last 15 minutes or so is on his archery setup for Western hunting. So hope you enjoy this. As always, if you like it, please hit the like button, subscribe over on YouTube, hit that notification bell. And then if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, please give it a rating. If you would, that would be awesome. It helps the podcast a lot. And follow us or subscribe to the podcast. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate y'all. Enjoy the podcast with Jace. Jace, thanks for jumping on, brother. Appreciate you being here, man.
Hey man, I really appreciate you having me. Really appreciate you reaching out. I'm sorry it took so long for us to get it dialed in and get it going, but busy schedules and things like that. But no, super pumped to visit with you. Fan of the platform, fan of the podcast, and then just getting to visit with you beforehand, realizing can we have some like-minded stories and stuff. That was pretty cool to find out.
Yeah, I got some good football stories rolling around. I find that at least I'm finding that authors are the hardest people to get on this podcast. You and Jack Carr have been the two hardest guys to get on so far in terms of schedules. So you're in good company, man.
Well, I mean, I would say I'm in good company. And like I told you, I mean, I even sent you that Instagram message and I was like, dude, this is so not me. I mean, if people that know me know that, like, I mean, I give you the shirt off my back type of deal. And it just, time got away from me. Like I said, I took on a lot of assignments, but like we were talking, with a daughter in college, a 14-year-old to play some travel ball and just life, just general expenses and stuff like that. I've really been, and I'm trying to get so much knocked out, selfishly, right? I'm trying to get so much knocked out before September, August 15th, really, I guess, before antelope season rolls around. I'm trying to get everything dialed in and get things done. And so, yeah, but I'm so glad we got a chance to connect, man. I really am. And I really do appreciate you having me on.
Well, the summer's bonkers for everybody. I know that. Yeah. You're based out of Colorado, is that right?
Yeah, so Southeast Colorado.
Okay.
Yep, Southeast Colorado. Gotcha. Like when people think of Colorado, though, they don't think of where I live. Like they think of ski slopes and mountains and mountain towns and that sort of thing. They don't think of is 102 degrees outside today, but it's dry heat, right? Like
it's dry.
It's dry. It's totally dry. I was in Illinois.
Are you
last
buying that?
week.
But it's just I live in South Carolina.
I'm buying it now. Dry. I'm buying it now, buddy, because I went to Illinois last week with Tacticam. So Tacticam did a cool deal. They actually they leased this. I don't know the whole logistics. I shouldn't say they leased it, but someone leased this property in Illinois. And myself, Levi Morgan, Andy Morgan, a couple other outdoor riders.
Were you like in southern Illinois or what part?
Southern.
Okay.
Yeah. And we went out there and they basically said, well, we're going to set up this property. And so like it was 90 degrees during the day, 90% humidity. And it was a different type of hot, man. I was drenched. I was still trying to get in runs at night and stuff because I had the Pikes Peak Ultra this last Saturday, just 2 days ago. And so I was trying to get just some maintenance miles in, that sort of stuff. And it didn't matter. 10 o'clock at night, I would rather run in 104-degree heat than run in 70-degree heat with 80% humidity. I swear I would. It's just a different type of heat. It's weird.
Yeah, well, our humidity today, it's in South Carolina, it's 99 degrees right now, and we have 92% humidity. Like literally, when I go out to shoot my bow, dude,
No.
I will stand there for 5 minutes and I will be drenched just standing there. Like
Yeah.
it is what it is. You just get used to it. Like here, it's just part of like everyone talks about our winter is summer, honestly. Like our our winter weather is like 40s and 50s, but in the summer, July, August, it's just brutal down here. And our season, our whitetail season opens August 15th.
See, and that's crazy. I mean, I'm ready
So
to go back to Illinois, but I'm ready to go back there in November. That's when I want to go back.
Yeah, I was going to say my family has property in Southern Illinois, and then my wife's family has property in the middle of Missouri, and I go there like end of October, beginning of November. That's when I go there.
Okay,
it's
cool.
Great, perfect.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So you tell me a little bit about before we even dive into this. I just want to hear a little bit about your ultra that you did, because I know you kind of been working through a back thing, and but that stuff's interesting to me. Like highly competitive,
right?
I kind of did all that different stuff. In my life too. I love guys who just freaking push it, and push it hard.
Yeah, and that's just been kind of my whole mentality when I started running ultras. And
how long ago did you do that?
Ooh,
did you start doing
that? I think I ran my first ever ultra was a 50 miler, and I think that was in 2011. So it's been a hot minute.
While then.
Yeah, okay. And then I've done 400s, a couple other 50s, a handful of 50Ks, and then just some general road marathons and stuff like that. But the ultra stuff, was where I got excited about, and was doing it to be in better shape for hunting. Like, right, there was no question I was doing it for that. But people are absolutely right. Like, you don't have to run 100 miles.
It sucks you in, man, right?
What sucked me in was the competitiveness that you said, because just like this week, man, like a 50K, 31.07 miles on trail, even on Pikes Peak, where you're running elevation, you still have these 25, 26, 22. You have a younger generation that is just, dude, there were some beasts on that course, right? And they're running that at a level that I don't know that I ever could have. And I definitely can't hold that type of pace now. But when you get into 50 and especially a 100-mile race, pain is the great equalizer. Suffering is the great equalizer. And what I learned is in those races, anything can happen, right? Like anything can happen. And if you can suffer and you can endure a lot of pain, like you can get yourself in the chips. Because so much of it is just keeping going, leaving each aid station, trying not to sit down, trying not to get too comfortable, trying not to change your shoes every aid station, just enduring those things and moving forward through the race will get you. It will just get you so far. And that's what really drew me into running ultras, was because I could run 100 miles and be competitive at an older age. Whereas I could go run a 10K. And sure, here locally, am I going to win it? Probably. But if I go to Colorado Springs or Denver, I'm not even going to be on the first 10 pages of the guys that ran 402-minute miles or 4-minute miles I can't do that. I just can't do that. God didn't build me that way. So it was the ultra scene that was the competitiveness and being able to stay competitive was attractive to me.
That's super cool. How long? That one was 50 miles or 50K?
So this one was 50K. This one was 50K. Yep.
And how long did it take you to do it?
So it took me right at 7 hours, which isn't great, but I got sent a 50-mile course so I ended up running 3 miles total extra. And it was 3 miles at elevation. So it was 3 miles it was a mile and a half of climbing.
Yeah.
And then a mile and a half of coming back down to the aid station and realizing like, oh man. And it's my own fault. I mean, I was sent that direction. The people mistook what I said, like 50K, 50 mile. It's real easy. I mean, it's real easy. They hear 50 and they're like, this way. Because there was a 20K and a 30K going on too. But I should have taken the extra seconds. I mean, I'm veteran enough to know, like, I should have taken the extra second and been like, okay, 50K. And then looked at, I've got the map on my stupid watch now, right? And my phone, I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? So, I mean, I ended up still, again, the elevation was very extreme in this race on Pikes Peak. So I ended up 10th, either 10th or 13th. I can't remember. I think I was 13th overall, 10th or something like that. But there was 110 contestants. So like for me, I felt really good, especially being that it was my first one back since back surgery. I didn't crush the downhills like I knew I could, because that's where I was concerned over, because coming down those downhills and those descents, you can get going so
compression,
hard,
man.
and it's hitting so hard up, you're toe tapping and you're trying to climb and lean into the hill, and coming down, you're just flying.
Banging.
You can really open up. And so part of it was, just common sense. I wanted to see. Part of it was like, is there a fear of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to take one step and I'm going to feel that pain that I felt before? Yeah. So I just opened it up slowly. Now the last 3 miles, I was sub 8-minute miles the last 3 miles. And when I finished, I felt great. So I know I could have done better, but like I told a lot of people going into this, they're like, well, what's your goal? And I was like, I don't have a goal. Finish, toe the line and finish. That's it. I'm not worried about place. I'm not worried about time. I mean, I rarely looked at my watch on the whole thing. I just wanted to run another ultra and know that this is doable again, and maybe I can build back to where I was as far as the longer ultras.
What did you have done with your back?
I had
like a discectomy or
a microdiscectomy or whatever at L4, L5, S1. I got a great surgeon, like you were talking about physical therapists. Like I had so many people just scare me to death. Like, don't you do back surgery? You do injections, you do PT, you do everything. So I did that route. Like I got injections, but it was a Band-Aid and I knew it because I felt better within 24 hours. But within a week, it started coming back. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty bad. I was doing physical therapy and that would help. But Dr. Barker, the guy that did my back surgery out of Denver, him and his PA, Michael, when they looked at the MRI, they were like, dude, we need to do this yesterday. We got to get in here and get this done because we don't want to have to end up fusing you. So they got in there, and when I was over, Dr. Barker came in the room and he was like, it was pretty bad. He was like, for a microdiscectomy, it was pretty bad. He said, you did a good job. He said, so follow what I'm going to tell you. And that's what I did. Like I tell people, like for the first time in my life, I mean, and I'm a coach, right? So I know better, but like I was always that person that was like, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not taking that day off. It'll go away. It'll get better. But I knew that this was what I was talking about. His PA, Michael, was actually is an ultramarathoner, and he's had a back surgery. So I took what they said. I did exactly what they said. I met a great PT person, did my own PT. And then, man. And then from there, it was just kind of baby steps and trying to build back to where I wanted to get to.
And how long ago did you have it done?
So that would have been,
surgery.
Yep. I ran my last 100 in July of 23, and I had back surgery in March of 24.
Okay. So it's been, so you waited about a year, a little over a year, like 14, 15 months, something like that.
And I ran some other races. I just didn't run an ultra. I ran a marathon.
Yeah.
I ran a couple halves. I ran some 10K. I did that sort of stuff, but I just wanted to see, like, I wasn't in any crazy hurry, because at the end of the day, I want to be able to hunt and be efficient when I hunt, and I don't want to be in a lot of pain. So I just took my time getting back is what I tried to do. And I'm super excited because other than my ankle, which when I was hunting in Spain in March of this year and took a pretty good tumble and it's a little jacked, and my quads are a little bit blown out from the downhill. But other than that, I feel really, I mean, like my back feels amazing. So I feel super blessed that I was even able to do it, man. I mean, honestly, I have no shame in it. Like the last mile when I was flying downhill and it felt so good. Like I teared up a little bit just on my own, just because I was just, I was so happy. Like it hit me like, man, I think you can continue to do this. If you continue to do it smart, you can still push the limits and just, when they push back, maybe give it a day.
Yeah, no, trust me, I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
So last year I went out to Colorado, and I've never elk hunted before in my life, but my goal during my rehab after my third back procedure was I wanted to be able to go out and do a DIY elk hunt and just be able to not be, I wanted to physically be able to do it. Right. And so there was an 18 month process between my last procedure, physical therapy, and going out and doing it. And, I wasn't successful, harvesting an elk, but I was successful in terms of the physical aspect of being able to do it. 110%. And I was right there with you. Like when I literally hunted the entire day, morning and night, up to the last night before I had to leave. But I had this feeling of completion, right? This feeling of accomplishment, just because I physically was able to do something that at a certain point in my life, I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to walk normally. Right. Yep. I mean, until you've had that happen, you just don't realize how blessed we are to just be able to be normal.
You hit the nail on the head, because I don't think a lot of people do realize it until it happens. You feel invincible. I did. I'll be honest with you. I just felt invincible. I'm like, nothing can hurt me. And I've always been a man of, I have been and always will be a man of faith. My relationship with Christ is everything in my life. But I did get to a point where, we talk about it a lot. Like, okay, God, I got this part. I don't need you for this part, because nothing's going to hurt me. I'm fine. I'm in too good a shape. I've done too much. I've done this. And like you said, going from running 100 miles to a week and a half later, having my wife help me into a truck, walk across our living room, down some 3 stairs and into a truck, was humbling.
Mm-hmm.
It lets you know real quick, you're not bulletproof. And this may be, at least in my mind, I went to, this may be irreversible. This may be fusion. This may be, at the time, it's just like anything else, right? We don't know exactly what it is, because it's a process. Now you got to get the x-rays, and then you got to get the MRI, and then they want you to try physical therapy. And all along, you're just trusting the process that you're going to end up being okay. And I think when you come to that realization, like you said, you're like, okay, it's okay. And I can do these things still, and I'm going to continue to push the boundaries because I don't know any other way. Then I think it's a cool place.
Yeah, it is. I had the workout, my training session this morning was close to an hour, and I was broke down at the end of it. It was really physically taxing.
Right.
But the entire time I was in the middle of all this stuff that was really, really hard. The thing that's always in the back of my head is, I'm so happy that I can do it. Right.
Sure.
I don't get mired down in it's hard.
Yeah.
But the alternative is a nightmare, right? The fact that I can get out there, push myself, grind that hard, at my age is I'm super, super grateful and blessed to just be able to do that. And I think when you're younger, you don't get it. You don't get it until somebody takes it away from you, You
don't. Yep. And you hit the nail on the head again, because when I was, people told me all the time, it was always my knees. Everybody told me would go, but yeah, I did have one buddy who's like, when you hit 40, he's like, things will start to hurt a little different. I was 37, 38 at the time. And I'm like, yeah, bro, 3 years, whatever. It doesn't make any difference. And 40,
how old are you now?
45. And I'm going to run later today. And it's not going to be a run. It's going to be a very awkward, full jog, because I got to get this lactic out.
You just got to get it out.
It just didn't build up like that, and it didn't hurt like it hurts now. But I think that that's a good thing too, because it does show you that your body does change, right? But if you keep asking more of it, and if you keep testing the limits and you keep pushing it, even if it hurts a little bit, I know that this is just sore muscles and it's lactic acid buildup. There's nothing wrong. I didn't tear anything. Nothing's broken. And that's the cool thing, because if nothing's torn, broken, or anything like that, everything else will, it's business as usual, right? It's fine. And then coming to that realization that it's fine and it hurts, but it doesn't hurt like something like when I knew my back was bad. I didn't need an MRI. I didn't need it. I didn't need somebody to tell me that I herniated a disc and it was compressing the nerve. I didn't need it. I knew it, because when you get to a place where you've demanded so much of your body, you've put it through so much, your body better than anyone knows your body. And when something's wrong and it tells you that it's wrong, it's usually, you can distinguish whether it's, oh, that's a tweak, that's a sore muscle, oh, that's fine, or, oh boy, that's not okay. Something's seriously legit wrong. And that's the first thing
Yeah.
I told my wife when it happened. I said, something's really, really wrong. And
Especially
it
if
was.
if there's nerve stuff involved, right?
Yeah,
The minute,
totally.
because that's a completely different kind of pain than
100%.
acute pain that you experience, through physical,
Yeah.
through all the physical stuff we take on throughout the course of our life. When you start having nerve stuff, compression stuff on your spine, that feels very different. Like it's like,
It sure
listen,
does.
this ain't right. There's not,
Yep,
this is
it
not,
sure does feel different. Like this,
yeah.
I can't stretch this out.
No, and you try forever. Like I know that's
Every position, every stretch.
the thing that I've noticed is because I'm 57, and the thing that I've noticed as I got like late 40s, early 50s, is I really had to spend a ton more time working on like all the stability stuff, right? Like on all my hip flexors and my gluteal strength and my core. Like that's the stuff that, especially because we sit so much, just whatever we do in our life, it's that stuff all starts to kind of get tight and shortened up. And if you're not really focusing on that, like the balance and all the other stuff like that stuff becomes, because I used to push really heavy weight. Like that was something I used to love to do.
Yeah.
But now,
I can
now
tell.
I'm much more
67
functional.
and you look like that. I'd say you push
57. Don't give me an extra decade.
57.
Jace.
Sorry, 57. But still, 57.
It's coming fast. I don't need an extra one.
And you look like that. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I can tell you've moved a little bit of weight.
Yeah, that was kind of my thing. I loved it, but now I'm much more, focused around functional and body weight stuff, and I still every winter I'll still kind of push the iron hard for about 3 months, right after hunting season, and then as soon as I get to spring, I start doing prep stuff to get ready for hunting and everything again.
Yep, so, absolutely.
Hey guys, big thanks to Osseo Gear for supporting the show. Osseo is built specifically for bow hunters. Every stitch, zipper, and fabric choice is made to perform when it's quiet and the pressure's on. Their camo patterns are inspired by nature's predators, and they're purpose-built to ensure you blend naturally into the specific environment you are hunting. Make sure to use the code DONOTGO20 to get 20% off on your purchases at OsseoGear.com. Osseo is made for bow hunters by bow hunters. So give them a check. They're a big supporter of the podcast, and we appreciate them. Great gear. So let's switch gears. I want to dive into, one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on was a lot of the people that listen to my podcast are whitetail guys, guys from out east, guys from up north, Midwest. But there's a lot more people, which obviously because you write for some of these magazines, there's a lot more and more people from the east who want to go out and go elk hunting once a year, right? They're trying the DIY stuff. And so the article that I read that I really thought was pertinent to our conversation today was one that you wrote for North American Elk. And the title of it was Go Deep or Hunt Close.
Go deeper, hunt close. I wrote that for Skip Knowles. Yeah, as the editor.
Which was a great article. And I just kind of wanted to ping you on, like, first of all, I just want to let you talk a little bit about it. And then I'm going to, kind of ping you as we go through it. But you made so many good points in there that I think are super pertinent for guys who, don't get the summer to go scout, don't have the opportunity to go out there and, spend a week scouting. They're doing everything, on Onyx or Spartan Forge or something. And then they're going out there. But there's this huge push for everyone, the going deep thing is very kind of sexy, and everyone kind of wants to, they kind of associate that with, they associate that with Western hunting. Oh, I'm going to go out, I want to push 8 miles in and blah, blah, blah. But not necessarily the most effective all the time. So talk a little bit about the article and just the premise behind it, and we'll kind of go from there.
Forgive me, it's been a little while since the article stringed together. I know exactly what
I can ping you on it if you want. I have
no, dude. Exactly, I know exactly what you're talking about. And what I discovered is, so when I first started elk hunting, bow hunting specifically elk, me and my buddies, that there was no go close. It was only go far, because we wanted to get to areas where we wanted an elk nirvana, right? We wanted to get back in there and find lots of elk, very few hunters. We wanted it to be rough. We really did. We wanted it to be tough. We wanted we wanted that whole go far experience. And don't get me wrong, like there's a place for that. And we had some really good hunts doing that. And I mean, way back in hunts. But then what we discovered too is when you commit like that, let's say you and me are going to go elk hunting. And I say, okay, man, you're coming from here. I'm coming from here. I'm going to be here 2 days before you. Here's a pin. And you look at that pin and you start looking at it and you go, okay, he's on trail, on single track in a wilderness area. He's 6 miles from where he's going to park, from where we're going to park. And 6 miles in the mountains is different. There's miles and there's mountain miles. Mountain miles are totally different because they're at elevation. They're with vertical gain and vertical descent, and single tracks will be rocky. They'll be unstable. There'll be roots. So it's a different type of 6 miles. You're pot committed when you go in there for a while. If you get back in there and you're like, oh my gosh, there's two out. This has happened. There's 2 outfitter tents. Wait a minute. That guy wasn't camped there last year. We camped there. How did people find out about this place? And you get back in there and you realize more pressure here than there is anywhere else. There's more pressure than I've seen. So we had that happen too.
You talked about a hunt where you went back with some of your buddies, and I think you were pretty deep. I think you said you were like close to 10 miles in.
Yeah.
But you ran into some outfitters. You burned. I don't know if you burned like a lot of time back in there, and then you got to come back out, and then you got to figure out where you're going to relocate.
Yep.
And that was kind of the impetus to you going, okay, next season we're going to do a little different. Like I think you said that y'all killed a couple of raghorns, but it wasn't the hunt that you wanted, and you're like, we need to rethink this, and then you went completely different the next year.
Completely different because the clock's ticking, right? Like we don't all have. I mean. My goal is to someday to be able to be secure enough that I can hunt September 1 to September 30. I want the whole month. I still don't get that. Even in my line of work, I get more than I deserve, but I don't get all of that. And so the clock, I feel like I'm constantly battling a clock, like in a football game or a basketball game when you're behind and you're trailing and you're constantly battling a clock. So when you come out of an area that far, the time that it takes to come out, first, pack everything up, get all the way out, get in your trucks, find a new spot, relocate, dive all the way back. You're talking 2-3 days of lost hunting. So what we started doing was we started looking at an area on a digital scouting app, HuntStand, Onyx, whatever you want to use, and we started dropping pins in areas that looked elky. So north-facing slopes, really areas with really deep drainages with maybe benches connecting them where elk could be on the same elevation and connected to another bench. Areas, little secluded, isolated meadows and really dense timber. Paying attention to where water was and areas where water was void. All these different things, right? We just started pinning them. But our rule was they have to be less than a mile off of a major trailhead or just a paved highway road. And that was kind of our rule.
Just primarily so that if it wasn't what you needed it to be, you could relocate quickly.
You're in and out. You're in and out. And so we did that. And what we discovered was people are walking by elk to get to better elk. People are walking by elk to get to what they hope is more elk. Well, what I've learned is it only takes one bull. It only takes one bull, and it takes one. It takes a little luck always. It takes smart hunting, but it just takes one bull. So if I'm hunting elk and I come across fresh elk sign, and when I'm talking about fresh elk sign, if the poop that I'm looking at is dry, that isn't fresh to me. It better be greasy, runny, or I better push my boot in it. It better have some sponge to it. If I start seeing rubs that you can tell are fresh, you look at the branches on the ground and they're not desiccated out. They look like they were just broken off. If I find a wallow that's still stained with mud, why would I go anywhere else? I don't care if it's 8 feet off of a highway. The elk are there. Elk will go. An old elk hunter told me one time, and it's cliche, but there's so much truth to it. Elk are where you find them. If elk get to an area where they're not being bothered and they're not being pressured and they have food, water, and cover, that's enough to hang them up there. They don't look at it and go, wait a minute, guys, if we go 14 miles back that way, it's going to be even better. I just don't think they think like that. They find an area where it works and people aren't bothering them. So a lot of areas that we were looking for were like, okay, we can pull off the side of a highway, and it is a 1,800 feet vertical ascent up what is just the roughest thing you'd find anywhere else, whether you're 5 miles in or right here next to the road. And then we look on our digital maps what's beyond that. Well, once you top out, beyond that's 2 drainages. They meet in this bottom. There's creeks connecting it. Nobody's going to walk up this. Okay, great. Let's bomb 1,800 feet straight up. Take us an hour. Take us an hour and 15 minutes. But you know what? When we get up there and we're not hearing bulls and we're not finding fresh sign, it's 1,800 feet right back down. We jump in the truck and we go to spot B. And spot B might be off of a trailhead that we just want to check this ridge to see if whatever. And we just started pinning 10 to 12 different areas that we call easy access areas. So they're areas that I can get into 6 of them in a day. We never stop. It's just like this one, nope, this one, nope, this one, boom, elk. We're hunting now. And that's just how we started to do things. And what we were finding is hunters walking by elk to get to elk, and we were finding elk that were huntable elk, and we were killing elk, doing it that way. So I think just like any hunting, you change, you take what you're given. If you're a flexible, I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do anything. Will I still go deep? 100%, 1,000%. I want to have horses now, but I will still go as deep as it's required. But if I'm looking for elk and I find elk, I'm not going to leave those elk to go find what I hope. It just doesn't make sense in my mind. I'll hunt the elk that are there.
Yeah. Well, you said that so you pinned all those areas in the summer. You said that you and your partners killed 3 good public land bulls within 73 hours.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, man. And these 2 guys are better elk hunters than me. So JC and Roy, they're 2 of the best elk hunters. They're unreal. JC can call. I think he should get into some competitions and stuff. And Roy's he's a killer. I don't know anybody. He's just a killer. And so, yeah, we killed 3 bulls in 72 hours and on public land. And it was just crazy, man. It was a roller coaster. I mean, we were beat up, tired, exhausted. We didn't sleep because we were just turning around. And by the time we got a bull back to camp, it was the next guy's morning and the next guy was up. But those pack outs also were doable because there was 3 of us. We can get an elk out with 3 of us. 3 of us can get an elk out. And when you're going a mile back to the truck, or in my case, a quarter mile to the truck, it's a little, and mentally, like,
a little bit better than a 10-mile pack out.
Yeah, when there's 3 of you and you're 10 miles in and you don't have horses and stuff, and one guy kills, you're kind of done for a little bit. You're done for a lot of it because now everybody pitches in, which is the way we do it, and we all get that bull out. Then you got to get that bull to a locker somewhere, right? You got to have that arranged. You got to get that bull to a locker somewhere. You got to get it hung. You got to pay the guy. Maybe you're already going to start paying him to process it. You're going to wash all your clothes and you're going to shower at a KOA or something while you're in town. You're going to get a good bite to eat. Then you're going to load up in the truck, redo your packs, and you're going all the way back in. And again, so now the clock is ticking for the guy that's up next. The guy that's up next has now lost, and that's not being selfish. That's just the truth. The guy's lost 2 or 3 days of September. Well, if you have 10 days to hunt, you and your 3 buddies, 2 guys kill, you're done. It's over. That's your 10 days. You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a few things that you noted, I just want to rip off and then you can make comments on them. These are some of the things that you said, keys as you're scouting in this kind of manner. So, scariest sense or descents almost immediately off the road, which eventually lead to flatter areas. But, talk a little bit about, I know you mentioned it just a minute ago, but, as somebody's looking at that and they're kind of looking at the map, it's really close to the road. But like you said, you got to bomb up it or you got to bomb down it, knowing you're going to have to come back up it. And so why don't people do that?
I think it's just a mental thing. I think it's just, these trails that go into places, right? When you're going to go 6 or 8 miles back into a wilderness area, are there some massive climbs in them? Sure. Do some of them start out really gnarly? Sure. But it's a gradual, you can see the single track on a map, right? So you're looking at that going, okay, I can work my way in. I'm on a trail. I'm on track, whatever. When you're sitting there and you're just like looking up straight up at a mountain, with tons of pines on it and beetle killed down timber, and there's no trail going up it or down it, you start to calculate in your mind how long that's going to take and what that's going to look like effort wise. People just tend to ignore it. I mean, my wife last year in Colorado, she killed a 300 plus inch bull with her muzzleloader, and that's how we did it. I mean, I wish she was here, because we got to that place because I had marked it and I said, we're going to access. We were only using it for access. That's it. I said, we're going to suffer for an hour and 20 minutes on this climb. It's going to be horrible. We'll stop as much as you want. I'm guessing with stopping, it's going to take us an hour 20. But when we get back in there, I know there's going to be bugling bulls in there. I know there is. And we got back in there, nobody there, called her in a bull. She killed it with a muzzleloader. It was awesome. So like, that's why I look for those areas. I look for something that somebody's going to look at and go, I just don't want to do that. I mean, look off down into there. If I kill a bull in there, I got to come back out of there. Mm-hmm. The mindset shifts when you have a backpack on with your sleeping bag and your tent and all your camp stuff, and you're walking in somewhere because you've already predestined an X on your map that you're getting to. And it's like, come hell or high water, I'm getting to that X. When you're just driving around and you're looking at stuff, you're like, oh, I'd never go up there. Oh my gosh, that looks terrible. It's a mind trick. So that's why I look for those types of places that require that immediately. And it's got to be pretty extreme. And then there's got to be a purpose to why I go up it. You know, I'm not going to just go walk up it for my health. You know, we spend all year trying to stay in good health. There has to be what I think will be a pot of the gold at the end of that rainbow, or I'm not going to mess with it.
And what does that look like to you for guys who aren't doing this a lot?
Yeah, man. Anytime I can see where a climb, especially on the ascents. So if I can get to a ridge that it looks like a ridge that gives way to really bowly drainage type country that's steep, but accessible, where a lot of drainages, elk love drainages. They like deep, dark, timbered drainages with creeks in them because the creeks have water. They'll wallow places up in there. And then they love that steepness of being able to get out of a drainage and climb up real steep. And then I call them benches. So they're flat spots, as flat a spot as you can find on a mountain. And those elk like to travel those benches between drainages. They're also a really great place to kill elk because when you're calling elk, I hate trying to call an elk downhill. It's not going to work most of the time. Calling them uphill is okay. But I like to be on the same elevation plane as a bull that I'm calling to. If I can get on the same elevation plane as him, I'm going to call that bull in more often than not. Or I'm at least going to earn an encounter with that bull. So that's pretty much that's really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for country beyond that goes, there's probably elk there.
Why is it a higher percentage to call them in on the same elevation level than, calling them up or downhill? Is it because of the sound, the way the sound carries?
No,
or is it something different?
Partially, but it's just like when a bull, even when you're hunting OTC, over the counter public land, even young 4-point bulls, they're so smart. They just, an elk will get to a spot where he looks and their eyesight is good. And they'll look and say, I know exactly where that sound's coming from. And there's not a cow or a bull standing there. Not going another step. Won't do it. And when they're trying to come downhill to you, they have the visual advantage by far. So that's kind of out the window. In addition to that, you're behind elk. So if you're behind the elk, they're really tough to catch. They're really, really, really tough to catch. And then calling them uphill, that's okay. I mean, I just prefer being on a same plane level with them because of one, I can get myself hidden pretty well. And I know that when they expose themselves, and I'm not just going to have a neck or usually a frontal poking up over something looking, they're going to come in on an elevation plane that's going to allow me a chance at that big body cavity. And because we're on the same plane. And then if I need to move on that bull, another reason I like to call them on elevation that is generally the same and doesn't have a lot of up and down to it is if I need to move on that bull and I have to climb, he can climb 1 million times faster than me. If I'm on flat ground and he's on flat ground, I have a better chance to gain on him or make a move without just, dying when I get there. I can make a move on him. That's one of the reasons I like getting on that same elevation.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I think the thing too that you mentioned earlier, and for y'all that hunt out west, this is like a given. But for people who haven't done it before or haven't listened to a lot of stuff, elk basically have photographic hearing, right? I mean, they can like pinpoint a sound like super super tight. So if the concept is if they hear it and then they get to a point where they should be able to see it based upon where they know it is and they don't see it, then they know it's wrong and they're gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
And that's where having a secondary caller really helps too. Having a shooter and a caller. It's the old school.
Do you always hunt with partners? Like, do you always go out there with your buddies? Are you always hunting with partners or do you
Not
solo
always.
too?
I solo quite a bit. I still solo quite a bit. That's just a personal thing. I still go with my buddies. This year, my son and I are going to go. He's done with high school and working full time now, so we're going to go. But sometimes sometimes for me, I just like to go by myself because one of the benefits of being alone is you don't have to run anything by anyone. You know what I mean? Like your decision is your decision, and you don't have to wonder.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
One of the other things that you had said, there's a few other things, but
sure.
If I pull into a trailhead and there's another vehicle, you're like, I'm gone. I don't even mess with it. I just turn around and leave, which is something different than I've heard some other people say. Like I have no idea where that guy is. He's probably deep. So you're just playing an odds game there. It's like I just don't want to mess with it, right? You got a million other spots pinned. You're just moving on.
I'm playing an odds game there, and that's all it is. And I'm playing a respect game because it's public land. I have every right to go in on him. I have every right to park right next to him and go in. But like, I've had it happen to me where I'm the first one to where I want to be. And I've been sitting in my truck for 2 hours waiting for it to get light enough where I want to go in because I'm already hunting. Like in a lot of these areas, I'm hunting when I get out of the truck. I'm not walking for 10 miles in the dark. I'm hunting when I get out of the truck. So I'm waiting for it to get light and two vehicles pull up and they know I've been there and they just, boom, they blow right past you. And it's kind of like, dude, that's a little unethical in my public land book. So what I do is I'm like, okay, I hunt areas where there's millions, literally, or hundreds of thousands of acres of public land. It's like, dude, I'll go find another trailhead. I got 12 of them pinned here. You took one. So that doesn't deflate me. I'll just move on.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you get into elk and things don't work out, you slip out and return during prime time. You said, I don't risk spooking elk out of an area just to say I hunted all day.
That's right.
Talk a little bit about that. Because I think that's pretty, like, just especially when guys are going out there with a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's this feeling like I got to be doing it. Like I can't take a minute off or I'm wasting the time I've got out here.
And I understand that thinking. But if I get into an area and I know there's elk there. So elk aren't particularly hard to kill. Some people are going to listen to that and go, yeah, they are. I don't think elk are particularly hard to kill. Elk can be really hard to find. And once I find elk, I want to hunt them really, really smart because I know if I do, I'm going to kill a bull. I mean, it's just that the odds are in my favor. So I've found elk and I get into an area and let's say I find those elk. Let's say it's September 5th. The rut's not really rocking. It's hot. And I know there's elk in here. I heard a bull bugle down in here, or I see a wallow that it's so muddy that he just got out of it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they're not talking. They're somewhere on a north face, bedded up. It's hot. All I'm going to do at that point is if I decide, I don't care, I'm going, because like you said, I got to keep going. I'm going to blow those elk out. Because when you're hunting elk in thick timber and you're just trying to walk through that timber, you're just bow hiking. That's all you're doing. You're just going to blow elk out because they're going to see you or smell you before you ever get there, and then they're just going to be gone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back out. I'm going to wait until that evening. I'm going to wait until something changes in my favor that gives me a reason to go, okay, he's huntable now. So now I'm going to go try to kill him. I'm going to put all my eggs in right now. But I'll spend the rest of the day running over to a few other spots so I have some backup plans rather than going and bumping them right now. I'll come back and hunt him this evening. I'll hunt him smart. And if I get in on him in the evening and I lose it to darkness, then I'm going to gamble on the fact that I didn't bump him. He didn't smell me. I kept the wind in my favor. I paid attention to my thermals, and he didn't get me. So I'll come in here tomorrow, and I'll try him again. And now he may take those cows and move 6 miles because that happens. But he also might be right there ready to fire in the morning.
Yeah, I made that same mistake last year twice. I called one in on day 2 and I called one in on day 5. Both of them came in quiet and kind of like first time doing it, it was first week of September. They weren't talking. Both of them came in quiet, spooked.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I called one in, like I'm on him.
Yep.
Right. And that's what I did. I spooked him out of there because I stayed after it instead of going, okay, I don't know enough to know what I should be doing. Like play it safe, back out, come back at night when it's better. Cause both times I called him in was morning.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I got the whole day to hunt him, but I probably blew both of them out, after I kind of got away from it and realized what I had done.
Right.
But,
because there's such a time too, though. I want to point out that there's a time too. I get overly aggressive when I elk hunt sometimes. If I hear 2 bulls fighting, which I've had many times, I run to them. I don't slip or I sprint to them. If I hear a bull rake in a tree, I might not sprint towards him, but I'm moving fast to that sound. If I've got 2 bulls bugling back and forth, I'm not even calling, especially if I'm by myself. I'm going to let them get themselves in trouble. I'm going to move in and get between them. I'm going to move in and get close to one of them. I'm going to get eyes on them, and then I'm going to stalk them just like I would anything else. Because one of the most effective ways to kill a public land bull is to never let him know you're there. Calling's great, especially if you have people. But I've killed a lot of elk just letting them get themselves in a bad way because this bull's bugling at this bull's challenging him back. They're coming together. I'm in a good spot. I'm going to get between them. Depending on the day, if my thermals are pulling up or down, what's my winds, all those things. I get set up and get myself in a spot where I can get an arrow into a bull and never make a sound. And those are great situations. And they happen a lot. When you get some hot cows in an area, you're going to have, most of the time, you're going to have more than one bull. And when cows get hot, things can get really gnarly really quick.
Yeah, that was the next one I actually had on my list. Was you said when multiple bulls are screaming at each other, shut up and just get in there.
Yeah, at least I believe
you got a chance to make something happen. Just don't talk over the top of them, because some people will say like, "Oh, I'm going to come in with a challenge bugle." Like I've heard a lot of people say that.
You
but
can, and I've
they're already fighting.
Bulls. Yeah, right? And they're letting you know where they are,
and they're letting you know where they are. So why?
I'm not going to tip my hand to them. I'm just going to go kill them. Because elk are big, right? Like people, like they're huge, which kind of makes, like when I said they're hard to find, but they're a ghost. They can vanish when they don't want to be found. But a downfall of a bull elk is he's so loud when he's bugling, and he makes so much noise, and he loses his mind for a little while. So not only is he making noise, not only is this 4 inches or 5 inches or whatever it is between his ears not functioning like it normally would because he's thinking about passing on his genetics. When you add all that together, you have a great chance of stalking and killing that bull. A great chance.
Yeah. You are right though. They're freaking quiet. Like I can't, as somebody who had never done it before, like having one come in on me that was as big as he was and not even knowing he was there. I stepped on a branch and it snapped and he just busted out. He was 20 yards from me.
Yep.
I had no clue that he had come in on me. Yeah.
Yep.
And then, he got about 40 yards away and he started barking at me. And so I kind of tucked back in and I was like, okay, I'm just going to kind of hang out. And then he circled around and winded me. And, I was like learning all the stuff that, so he busted me. And that's when I was like, I probably should have got out of there at that point. But yeah, they're so freaking quiet. It's unbelievable how quiet they are for how big they are.
It's unreal.
It's wild.
unreal that they can be that quiet for their size.
Yeah. If you had to give, somebody who's going out for the first time or, has gone out a few times, but is still pretty much a novice, they don't have time to summer scout. They've got e-scouting and they're going out there for, 7 days. What are your top, 2 to 3? Hey, if you don't do anything else, do these things.
Yep. Go after the 10th of September.
That's a great tip.
Would be one, because people always get really hung up on time, and people are always like, well, I want to go early because it's the best chance to kill a big bull because he might not be on cows. But here's the thing: if you're after the 10th of September and you get around elk, there's going to be a lot of elk making noise, typically. So the 10th of September to the end of the month is one very, very big point. The second thing is, if you're a whitetail guy and you're coming from the Midwest or East, and I tell people this all the time, don't abandon your whitetail roots. And what I mean by that is whitetail guys, I've hunted with some whitetail guys that were fantastic elk hunters out of the gate because they tend to be more patient. And I know I just talked about aggressiveness, but patience can be huge in the elk woods. The types of guys that will, they'll find a wallow and they'll be like, well, why wouldn't I just build a natural blind and sit over this wallow? I sit dawn to dark. This is nothing. I can do this. I've seen guys do that and hunted with guys that did that while I'm out. I climbed 8,000 vertical feet and I covered 6 miles. Did you kill anything? No, but I scared the crap out of a few. How'd you do? Oh, I shot a bull. Yep. Okay, great. Good job. Good for you.
You know what's super interesting? This is just kind of to piggyback on that. So where I was hunting last year, I met this guy. He was 72 years old and he had been hunting the same unit for over 20 years.
Awesome.
And he went in and hung a tree stand every year. And he had harvested 70% of the seasons that he had hunted. And he's like, yeah, everybody comes out here and wants to chase bulls all over the daggum, mountains. And here, he was from Kentucky. He's like, I just come in here and hang a tree stand. He goes, I know where they're hanging out. He's like, one of them's going to walk underneath me at some point in the next week, and I'm going to shoot it.
And see, that's what I'm talking about.
It doesn't have to be that hard, does it?
No, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, don't abandon your whitetail roots. Don't abandon your ability to be a sit and wait hunter, because sitting and waiting is a great way to kill elk. Whether you're sitting and waiting on a wallow, whether you're sitting and waiting on an isolated food source that like, hey, this is a really secluded meadow. It's got a wallow in the middle of it. It's got elk tracks all over it. Yeah, they're probably hitting it at night, but a lot of times they're going to hit it in the last hour of daylight. The cows are going to start moving out of the timber, especially if it's secluded and it's not these massive meadows that you see on TV, because those are private elk and they just function differently. Trust me. So, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. So, I mean, after September 10th, don't abandon your whitetail roots. And the last thing is learn how to use a call. And what I mean by learn how to use a call is don't let your drive out there be when you're pulling your bugle tube and these reeds you bought out of the package. And I know that sounds like, well, duh, but so many people do it. It's crazy. And also, don't be overly concerned about sounding perfect. Like, for me, if I was going to elk hunt the first time this year, I need to know how to make a locator bugle. That is just a very simple, non-guttural, non-chuckly, just, I'm going to bugle, make it clean, crisp, end it, and where are you? And I need to be able to use a mouth reed to make actual cow and calf talk. Because if you listen to someone on a reed style call, that's not how cows sound. It's not how cows sound. Go listen to cows on YouTube, listen to them talk, and then go watch a guy blow a reed call and tell me that they're the same. Now, will they work? Sure. But will you be better off being able to make mews and estrus whines and calf talk on a diaphragm the way a cow actually sounds? You will be better off, especially when you're hunting pressured bulls or you're hunting a big bull that knows what he wants to hear. Those would be my biggest 3.
What's the one that I had a harder time with last year was I felt like I was pretty decent at making a locator bugle, pretty decent at my cow calling. The calf calling was the one that I struggled with. Like, any tips on getting that one better?
Listen to like YouTube, man. I'm telling you,
that's what I did. I had a bunch of YouTube videos I saved, and I just tried to mimic them.
Yeah, I listen to Bo Brooks a lot. I listen to Jason Phelps. I listen to the best guys in the world. And I'll also, one of the things I'll also do is I'll record myself doing cow talk on my phone. So I'll hold my cell phone, just put it on record, and I'll do it. Then I'll set that phone down, and then I'll put YouTube on, and I'll listen to live calves talk, and then I'll push play on mine, and I'll be like, wait, I got to clean that up. That's what. And then you can actually get to a point where you know it's you because it's your phone, but you're like, hey, that's pretty good. Like when you hit that moment, like, like when your buddy bugles and you're like, dude, that was the one. He hammered that. Like you crushed that. Because in your mind, you know what it should sound like. And it was just a 10 to you, right? You can do the same thing when you hear yourself. You just have to be objective and honest about it, right? It's no different than when you're shooting your bow and you execute a surprise release and you're like, holy crap, that felt awesome. Other than, oh yeah, I hit a 12, meant to do it. You just have to be honest with yourself and be like, well, that wasn't that good of cow and calf talk. I can do better. Let's redo this. Let's re-record this and actually spend time doing it because it will make a difference. Like it will make a difference.
Okay, great. Those are great. You're an archery nerd. I know this. I've read a bunch of your stuff, which I love too, because I'm a bit of a nerd too. I don't tinker as much as you do because once I kind of get mine set up and it's shooting good,
I don't blame you.
I kind of just leave it,
I'm like, rabbit holes.
Yeah. But can you talk just real quick about if you had to walk out the door today and it was elk season, what's your setup look like? Bow, what release are you shooting? What are your arrows? What broadheads? What's your, what arrow weight are you shooting? What's your feet per second? Like kind of just walk us through your whole setup.
Yeah, sure. Let's start with arrows because I think that's really important, and the broadhead choice. So when people think of elk, right, and I had this conversation with some really accomplished archers this last week in Illinois that are on the same page with me, and we talk about a lot of people talk about, man, heavy. I want heavy. I want 125 grain. Broadhead on the end. I want my arrow weighing, and these are guys. Let's just preface this by saying these are guys pulling 70 pounds. With a draw length between 27 and 29 inches. Let's just say that. And I want that arrow to be just under 600 grains. I want it 550. I want it 500. I'm sitting here like,
that's
why?
Heavy.
Why?
That's a heavy arrow.
Why? So my setup is an Easton's 4mm X10 Parallel Pro. With a 55 grain aluminum outsert. I don't do the titanium. I don't do the steel. And a Sever 1.5 mechanical hybrid head at 433.8 grains. I get speed. I get precision. I still get kinetic energy way over 80 foot-pounds. Because here's the deal. I'll blow through an elk scapula with that. Chew it up. You can shoot an elk in the shoulder with a 500 grain arrow in the shoulder. Now, when we talk about shoulder, people need to understand that the scapula area is not the shoulder. The shoulder is the point of the shoulder. And if you shoot an elk with a 500 grain arrow and a fixed blade broadhead that's razor sharp, it's going to go doink. It's going to stop. Somebody will have to show me that it didn't because I've seen it happen too many times. So what I like to do is I'm all about precision. I want a little bit of speed. I call it a tweener arrow. I don't want to be too light. I don't really want to be under 400, but I don't want to be above 450. I want to be somewhere in there. I shoot a mechanical because they're precise. I shoot a mechanical because they're surgical, and I shoot a mechanical because they cause animals to bleed like crazy and they kill. Will I get a little bit better bone, whatever, with a fixed blade? Possibly. Have I blown through elk at 60 plus yards, quartering two, and blown all the way through them using a Sever 1.5? 100% have. That bighorn sheep that's on the wall, I mean, it's a once in a lifetime animal. They're massive. I shot it with a Sever 1.5, 433 grain arrow. So sight, I'm running Spot Hogs Booney all day in a 5-pin.
Can I ask you a quick question about your arrow setup before you move on? So a lot of guys out east are shooting lighted nocks just because we're shooting from trees. We've got short shots. It's easier to find your arrow.
Love it.
But that's adding, close to 20 grains of weight to your arrow. So like my arrow weight with a lighted knock is 449 grains, right? If I take that knock out and put a standard knock in, closer to 432.
Yeah.
Is there any downside to shooting a lighted knock,
No.
when you're shooting at greater distance? And B, if you're used to shooting a lighted knock and that's kind of what you do, is it worth getting the 16 or 17 grains back, like, and setting your bow up to be shooting a non-lighted knock when you're going out west?
No, don't do it. Just shoot the lighted knock. In fact, this year I'm going to shoot lighted knocks because I shoot them when I whitetail hunt. Right, I shoot them when I whitetail hunt.
I do too. That's why I was asking.
I'm gonna shoot. I've shot big game animals other than whitetail with lighted knocks. I have not with elk, but I'm going to this year because I'm just sitting here and I'm like, man, it's that ever learning type of deal. I'm like, okay, it's adding just a little bit of weight. My arrows are still tuning like crazy. My shot's still going to be 60 yards and in. I mean, most of the time it's going to be less than 30. More than that, it's going to be less than 20. I'm going to shoot that lighted knock because a lot of times when I shoot at a bull, it's in low light conditions, whether that be first thing in the morning, last thing in the evening, or in the dark timber, where I can really see that arrow impact. Because knowing when to follow up a bull, knowing when a bull's just completely roped, and knowing when you're like, oh, dude, was that one lung? Because if that was one lung, we've got an issue. Was that liver? Was it squared up liver? Was it high liver? Was it low liver? Was it back of the liver into the paunch? That to me is way more important. I want to know exactly. So I'm shooting a lighted knock.
Okay. Which one are you shooting?
I'm going to shoot lit. It's LIT.
What do they weigh?
16, 15, something like that.
Okay.
Something like that. I think.
I've never shot that one.
Yeah, they're not real well known. A buddy of mine by the name of Dirk Stark, he sent them to me, and I loved them. They fly awesome. And one of the things you'll find with a lighted knock, take Luminoc, for example, take Nocturnal. I love both of their knocks. So this is not me bashing those two. I've got friends at both places. When you shoot a 4mm arrow, the lighted knock insertion and functionality changes. And this is the best 4mm lighted knock I've used. I'm not going to say it's not the brightest that I've used, 100% not the brightest. Battery life's not the longest. It is one of the easiest on off. It's got a switch. Click, click, click. It's easy.
That's nice.
But for a 4mm arrow, it's it. So that's why I'm using those. If I'm shooting a 5mm Axis or a 5mm FMJ, I'm going to run a Luminoc, over a Nocturnal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're shooting a Spot Hog Boonie. Are you shooting a 5-pin or are you a single pin guy?
I'm a everything guy. I kind of fluctuate on what I want, but right now I'm shooting a 5-pin. The great thing about a 5-pin in elk is elk have a big vitals, big lungs. Shoot them in the lungs. Like get off the shoulder and shoot them in the lungs. So what I like about a 5-pin is, let's say that bull's 36. When I'm looking at a not quite a trash can lid, and my 30 and 40 yard pins are sitting on that, shoot him. He's dead. I'm not going to overthink that, right? A single pin, the problem where you'll run into a single pin, especially if it's a single pin without any other indicator marks, is elk are notorious for, okay, I've got a collar behind me. I'm going to shoot him at 40 and, oh, no, crap, now he's coming. Now he's really coming, and I'm dialed to 40, or I had him at 20. He caught something, and he bolted out, but I got him stopped, and now what is he? I'm going to guess it, of course. I don't have the luxury of ranging it, but I'm going to guess it, and now I'm guessing the yardage, and I'm guessing where I'm going to hold that pin. So now with a 5-pin or even a 3-pin inline or a 3-pin horizontal, something like that, I'm going to go 46 and I'm going to use my 50 and I'm going to hold heart. Something like that. That's why I've kind of gravitate more to a multi-pin setup. I like a single pin setup when I know I'm stalking. So if I know I'm stalking mule deer, if I know I'm stalking pronghorn, or if I know I'm stalking a sheep or something like that, where 9 times out of 10 the shot's going to happen without that animal having any awareness, or that animal's totally relaxed. It's not trying to breed. It's not moving. It's a little more controlled. Rutting animals are so, I mean, it's chaos. So I want a sight system that will handle that chaos, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I usually shoot a 3-pin for whitetail, but
Perfect.
I actually put a 5-pin on this summer. Just
I don't
in the
blame
event
you.
I had to take a longer shot. I just didn't want to. I didn't feel good about estimating a longer shot with a 40 if I didn't have time to roll
Agreed.
it. And so I was just like, I'm just going to put a 5-pin in and know that I'm sighted out to 60 without ever having to adjust my sight.
Totally agree.
Are you I know you kind of mess with thumb and index releases. Like if you were walking out today, what would you be shooting with? What would you be hunting with?
Today, if I'm going to walk out, I'm going to shoot if I'm shooting my Hoyt RX9, I'm going to shoot my,
okay.
I'm going to shoot my Carter 2 Simple, which is a thumb activated release.
Okay. That's your release of choice. Is a 2
That's
Simple?
my thumb of choice. Definitely my thumb of choice. If I'm shooting my
That's
hinge,
a great release.
It's such a good release. If I'm shooting my hinge and I'm shooting my PSE Mach 33 DS, I'm shooting UltraView's the hinge release, or the hinge 2. I can't remember which one it is, but I'm shooting that. I've killed a lot of animals with a straight hinge, and I don't mind hunting with them at all. If the bow is built, if the back wall of the bow is built in such a way that it will handle a hinge. Today's bows, so many of them are built with such a hard back wall, and that can be achieved in 2 ways. It can be achieved by limb stops, which I hate because there's no valley, or a really firm design of a back wall that's a cable wall that allows very little sponge. Now, I don't want, when I hit and I crawl into anchor and I come in and I start my push-pull process, I don't want sponge. Like, I don't want a back wall that feels like zoo, zoo, zoo. But I do want to be able to pull into that back wall, and that's your valley. I want to be able to pull into that back wall a little bit because I want to be able to feel that as I start pushing and pulling through my release until the shot breaks. So I like to feel that a little bit. It would kind of be described as like travel on a release that has a trigger, right? Because travel is that release is that trigger is going to travel some before it breaks, but zero travel index fingers like Spot Hog's Wise Guy doesn't have any travel. So it is just.
Yeah, I was going to say that Wise Guy triggers like a feather, man.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it all depends on me. And I posted a video the other day, and people were saying like, dude, I can't keep up with what release you're shooting because I see you with a Wise Guy. Then you got a hinge. Then you got this. Releases are just kind of my jam. And one of the things that I've done to avoid target panic and keep my mental mind sharp is I just grab a release and go shoot it. I have some that are my favorite, but I have found if I start punching my index, and I know I'm punching it, right? I know I'm like, God, Jace, you're punching, man. You're jabbing at that thing. You can't do that. Then I'll just put it away. And I'll go get my hinge. And I'll turn my hinge and I'll set it super cold. And I'll sit there and I'll push, pull, push, pull, push, pull until the shot breaks. And I'll push, pull until the shot breaks. And then it's like, okay, go back, grab your index finger, and then see how you execute. It'll change. Just that much will change, because when you associate a trigger into anything, a trigger is meant to be pulled. We say it all the time. Pull the trigger. Pull the trigger, pull the trigger, pull the trigger. Tell my point guard that I'm coaching in basketball, dude, why are you passing up that 3? Pull the trigger. Hit it. I mean, but in archery, we want controlled, always controlled. So 2 types of releases that I'll execute is either a controlled release or a total surprise release. When I'm shooting a hinge, it's always total surprise. If I'm shooting a thumb, 90% of the time, it's a surprise. When I'm shooting an index finger, 90% of the time, it's a surprise. But where you get an advantage with an index or a thumb is if you are savvy enough up here and you've got your crap together, you can execute a controlled release, which means you are going through your aim. My pin's there. I keep adding tension. I'm going to go ahead and execute now. And you're telling yourself that. You're actively like, now. I want it to go now. And I find switching up releases kind of keeps me honest. I know that's a lot, but I get excited about releases.
I kind of nerd out on releases too. I had Joel on a few episodes ago, and I've got my regular thumb release is a Carter 2 Simple.
Yep.
But I bought that Stan clicker in the off season, the thumb clicker.
The thumb clicker.
Just to
the Onyx. Yeah. Is it Onyx? something
Yeah,
like that.
it's the Onyx clicker, I
Yep.
think is what it, but it's and that one's, very like it's kind of like a hybrid, but I mean, you have to, it's not, you can pull it, but you work to the click, and then once you get to the click, it's a hair trigger at that point, right? But
Right.
it kind
It's
of
click bang.
makes you reset, at
Right.
that point. And
That
so
audible click is.
it's yeah, it gets you out of that auto, because you really have to, like, in the beginning, I was like moving right past it all the time. I was like, oh shit, it just went off on me. Like,
Yeah.
crap, holy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I had like 3 arrows that just like sailed on me. I freaking like was in the backyard searching for them, because I was
I
like,
know
holy
the
crap,
feeling. Believe me.
that thing went off fast. And so
Right.
you really have to like slow the whole thing down to get to the click and not fire it.
Right.
But I do the same thing. Like every once in a while, I'm like, okay, I just grab my Too Simple and go out and go, okay, how am I shooting that now?
Yeah.
But I haven't decided. I may hunt with the clicker, like, because if it makes me be under control.
The clicker is another step in your process that what it does is you don't want to just punch, because in your mind is telling you haven't hit your click yet. So you can't. Like, it's almost like a
exactly
wall. But now I hit my click. Well, if your click isn't set too hot, you get a chance to crawl into anchor and you get a chance to aim before you hit that click. And then when you hit that click, I tell people all the time, no matter what animal, the difference between a grip and grin photo and meat for the freezer is 2 to 3 seconds. That's the difference. That's all it is. It's 2 to 3 seconds. It's 2 to 3 seconds for you to get your pin where you want it and execute, whether that comes as a surprise or a control. But where we get the oh no's and oh, please God, can I have that back, is the 0.5 seconds, or the draw, my pin's not even on him, but I can't control whatever's happening inside of me and I got to send it. That's when bad things happen. A good shot should break. And now I'm talking about the time you crawl into anchor, right? You've anchored. A good shot should break somewhere from there between 2 and 6 seconds in my mind. And there's research behind that, but 2 and 6 seconds is pretty good. 2 is a little short for me. My shot usually breaks somewhere between 5 and 7, actually, because I can be a little long, because I set my thumb and I set my hinge pretty cold. My hinge and my thumb are pretty cold.
And how are you measuring that? Like, how do you know that?
I have my wife film me.
Okay.
Is that so
that's a good
bad?
answer.
She's awesome. Her wife is 22 years. And when I be like, hey, babe, can you come out here? She's like, I'm not filming your release timing again. It's like, how did you know I was going to ask that? She's like, because you've been out there for 5 hours fiddling with those stupid things. And I've got like 19 releases laid out on this thing. And I'm like, time this one, time this one, time this one. But it's those little things that will make a difference in ultimately your mind, right? It's just like an athletic event or anything else. If you believe it, then it's so. Like, if I believe that this hinge is the best hinge ever created and I'm shooting it lights out, then it's the best hinge ever created, even if it was $200 less than another hinge. If I'm shooting an old janky dual caliber release that my grandpa gave me and I'm 12 ringing stuff and animals are bleeding out of both lungs when I drop the trigger, it's the best release ever made. So, like, it's just, it's confidence. It's what it is. And that's what I'm always chasing. I'm chasing perfection, and I'm chasing the thing that I need to know that everything that I have, from my boots to my hat, gives me the most confidence. Because when I'm confident, I'm going to kill stuff. When I'm unconfident, it's going to be a rough trip.
Yep, that makes great sense. All right, I'm going to hit you with a few rapid fires.
Hit it.
Okay, if you had to pick spot and stalk or sit and wait?
Spot and stalk.
Okay. Best time of the day to call a bull in?
10 a.m.
If you had to pick one, cow call or bugle?
Bugle.
What's the longest shot you would take on an elk?
65 yards.
What's the longest shot you have taken on an elk?
61.4.
What's one thing that most bow hunters get wrong about elk hunting?
Oh, that one can't be rapid fire. There's too much to it.
Okay, I'll give you some latitude on this one.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. One thing that just stop stressing over your weight and making yourself sick over it. Okay. If your draw weight's 70 pounds and you're somewhere in the 27 to 29 inch range, shoot a 400 to 450 grain arrow and call it good and stop worrying about it. And 2 is have realistic expectations when you come out here. I talk to so many people every year, and I don't mean any disrespect by this at all, but they're like, well, I just want to shoot a 300. I'll just be happy with a 300-inch bull. Me too.
Well, just a 300-inch bull. Yeah, sure. I'll just be happy to show up and get one of those.
Private or public.
That's a great bull.
That's a great 6-point bull or a huge 5-point. So have realistic expectations. If you're hunting in Colorado, come out here saying a legal bull has 4 scoreable points on one side. On one side. If I see a bull with 4 scoreable points on one side, I'm shooting it. If it's an either sex tag, I'm going to shoot a cow. Because I want to, shooting elk is cool. There's nothing better than watching an arrow bury into the lungs and side and hide of an animal that is so broad across and hearing that sound. And then walking up on something that big. Because you're going to walk up on something that big and you're going to go, it was that big. Now what do we do? And have a plan. Have a plan for getting that meat out. Because they're bigger than you think. It's heavier than you think. Learn how to get bones out. Learn how to cape. Learn how to skull cap. Learn where the atlas joint is. There's a lot to this process. There's a lot to taking apart an elk. We could do a whole podcast on that.
Okay, that's a great idea.
Have a plan, whether that's a packer, whatever, but have a plan. Have a plan. Other than we'll worry about it when we get him. You sure will.
Wind or thermals, which ruins more hunts?
Thermals.
Okay. What do you think is the most tunable arrow speed in general? Because that's a lot of things. There's this huge debate over arrow weight. There's also this huge thing about chasing speed. And I think in some instances, speed can be
too much.
You can chase something, you can get too fast, and you can lose tunability in some cases. So what do you think is the most tunable speed range to be in?
270 to 290.
I love it. I'm 280. Good. Last one. What's your best archery tip that could instantly improve most people's accuracy?
Let your release fire your bow. It's a mechanical device. You don't fire it. Let the release do its job. When you learn to do that, it'll change your life. I mean, it's not going to change. It will change your hunting life. When you learn to let that release do its job, if you do your job and let it do what it was designed to do, then you're going to kill more stuff and you're going to have more fun bow hunting because it's going to eliminate the hope of hitting something and it's going to emphasize the don't get in front of me.
Awesome. You write in a lot of places, but tell people where they can find you, both like from a social standpoint, where you put most of your social stuff, and then also what are the magazines that a lot of your stuff showing up in? So if people want to read, one of the things, there's so much stuff on social media. I love to pick up a magazine and sit down and read.
I do too.
Like I think it's so cool that you write, because I love to read where I can actually slow down, go back, I
want long form. I do too.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. That's why I love podcasts.
Yeah. Instagram, it's just at JACE_ and then my last name, which is BAUSERMAN. I'm shadow banned, so you'll have to type it in. Facebook is Jace Michael Bauserman, I think. Jace Bauserman. I have a YouTube channel. It's Jace Bauserman. But for the writing portion, North American Elk, Bow Hunter, North American Whitetail, Outdoor Life, Field and Stream, Born Hunting. There's some more I'm going to miss, and somebody's going to say, "Hey, you do a lot for them." But about anybody, I try to work with as many people as I can. Work with a lot of good quality publications. Got a lot of stuff up online. I mean, if you just go Google Jace Bauserman Elk, you'll probably get a lot of elk stories if that's what you're wanting to do. If it's pronghorn, same. I've got a pronghorn book that's available on Amazon. I got a turkey book on Amazon. I got a whitetail book on Amazon. I will have an elk book on Amazon soon.
So here's what I'm going to do for, I'm going to have Jace, I'm going to have you send me links to all that stuff and I'll put it in the show notes.
Oh, cool. Man, that'd be great.
All your books and stuff. So I'll put all the books in the show notes. So if people want to find them, they can get them on Amazon and it'll be easy. You won't have to go looking for them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I would just recommend to anybody that if you like what we talked about today, literally the last 2 episodes of North American Elk, I think Jace has 4 articles in them total. The last couple episodes of our of Bowhunter have a ton of different articles in it. The Bowhunter gear review section, you did a bunch of stuff in there.
Yeah, I did.
So appreciate you jumping on today, man. This was an awesome conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I know people will pick a lot up out of it.
Oh, buddy, thanks for having me anytime, and thank you so much.
Awesome.
It was good.
It's great to meet you too, brother.
It's great to meet you.